All right, y'all. We got a different type of video today. So today, I wanted to break down my entire idea. I know I'm not even looking at the camera. Sorry, I'm a bad YouTuber. I'm just fixing my fan. It's kind of loud, but it's also hot in here. So I wanted to break down everything I'd like to see altered or at least looked at for MLB The Show 25, based off of good ideas that I think I've kind of had, or things we've talked about on stream. If you watch the stream, twitch.tv/OhChev hangout, things I've seen on YouTube videos about what I think could really make this a different experience in MLB The Show. Now, my hot take about MLB The Show 24 is that the reason why this game died earlier than last year was because of sets and seasons again. I think it's my hot take about that is that it's not the main reason. It's a big reason. It's not the main reason. I personally think the main reason is that the gameplay loop has got too repetitive and there's no new way to play the game. That to me is why the game has been dying earlier since I've started streaming it full time in 20. Why has it died earlier? I don't think it's died any earlier because of sets and seasons, and I'll explain to you why. If you live in a world, right, where we picture sets and seasons gone for 24, it didn't happen, it's power creep. I don't think that changes anything because it's still going to be the same thing. You get the same cards, same legends, the same way, and you play them in the same game modes. It doesn't matter how you go about acquiring a new car. If you're driving on the same track every day, you're not going to want to do it anymore. I just don't think that people have thought I think it's because it's easy to point at sets and seasons as the boogeyman because it's the new thing. And I think it's a barrier to entry, and it's a bit of a gatekeeper for people to hop on the game. But for those who do play it and stop playing it, it's because, think about this. When content comes out recently, even though it's good, you spend more time on the game acquiring the cards than you do using them. And that is the problem. We've gotten ass backwards to the point where it's more about how you acquire cards, mostly the length involved, as opposed to actually enjoying using the cards themselves. You should spend more time using them than getting them. That should be what happens. And it's not. So that's how I ended up here. So enough about nutshelling it and explaining to you guys why I think it is what it is. And the whole reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want you guys to be very aware that, and not be too, don't put all your eggs in as long as sets and seasons go away, the game will be great again. No, because we had that in 22 and it still died earlier than 21. And granted, that was the worst game I've ever played in my life, and it was the worst gameplay for sure, but it doesn't change the fact that even if something's good, if it's the same thing again and again and again, your tolerance for it is going to shrink, even if it's good. Analogy. Fortnite makes changes every season. Guns go in and out of the vault. Good seasons go, bad seasons come, whatever. But even when the bad season happens, it's a 180, it's something different, and it makes the next season that changes things all that more interesting because what was previously not appealing to you is gone. How would I make these changes? That's the most important part of this video. How would I make the changes? Well, let's start in each and every individual mode and we'll go around. Ranked. What needs to change in ranked? No, you don't need to reduce the innings count. No, you don't need to punish quitters harder. As much as I'd like that to happen, you don't need to do that. There's two things you need to do. Maybe, well, I'll go two and I'll explain one in more detail. One is the most important thing is you need to buff the rewards past 900. And along the way too, but after 900, it should not be a race to 900 then stop because there's no other purpose to play ranked other than get to 900 because anything after that's useless. You have to provide something after. The gameplay loop is just not fun enough to warrant a cutoff in rewards. Two, pace of play, baby. It takes far too long to get a ranked game done for a couple of reasons. I've played multiple games this week that are an hour long that are low scoring games because of just horrible connections, server problems, and then things that they could fix outside of that, which they should fix. There should be no cutscenes in ranked play in between innings. I don't care about fan cam. That does not belong there. It needs to go. That's number one. Number two, pause timer has to be reduced. Far too much pause time. 3, R2 needs to go. It's a way to just delay the game, point blank period. 4, foul balls still need to be reduced a little bit more. That's another thing. But cutscenes, batter walk-ups, that's gotta go. It doesn't make sense that it's in the game. It just adds on to runtime. In between inning cutscenes, like why? An hour for one ranked game that gets you points that don't mean anything, especially if you've hit 900, is a little crazy to me, right? You know, and think about this. You could play a whole 9-inning game takes an hour against someone who's far lower than your rank, even though you don't really plan on that. Or, you know, whatever. Say you lose or win, but you're playing someone way higher than you, way lower. You get no points gained or lost for that. It's essentially a waste of time because you get nothing for that individual match. They're trying to pitch to you, well, play 16 hours worth of time and maybe you'll get something. It's crazy to me. That needs to be adjusted. and ranked will be in a sweeter spot. You can play like 4 to 5 Fortnite matches in one ranked game time, and that's why that's important. You have to gauge it to the current meta. Landscapers. You have to gauge it to the current meta, right? Current gaming landscape. Everything is like this. I'm not saying TikTok brain is good or bad, but it's just the way that it is. You have to play into that or you're going to die like Halo. To be honest, you have to make adjustments. 2, moving on to Battle Royale. Battle Royale, perfect time to talk about this. A new season just started. I'll give you something I've thought about this year and something that was brought to my attention today that is an interesting point. I think BR has objectively and unequivocally completely fallen off this year. The gameplay loop we know is not fun. It's very frustrating. And they made it 10-0 as opposed to 12-0, supposedly to make it easier for people and less less of a scary challenge if it's 10-0 as opposed to 12-0 to appeal to more casual players. It hasn't worked. They nerfed the rewards for BR in accordance with that because it's easier now and they don't want to give out too good of rewards. On top of all that, within sets and seasons, they expire. So why grind your ass off for a card that you can't even use in a few weeks, months time? Now, this Kershaw that just came out is pretty decent, but nothing to write home about. There's free pitchers that are comparable. And the Semien has 99 contact and clutch. Yeah, he fits Corbin, but he should be a great standalone card. The death of BR needs to be studied. Lack of reward interest because they got knocked off because of the 10-0. And something that was brought up to my attention today that is super interesting is someone said, I've loved the draft style of Battle Royale. And with guaranteed cards, and it's the same 4 cards pretty much for everyone's lineup, it ruined that allure for me. And I didn't think about that, but that is super interesting. That between the guaranteed program cards, the same handful of 99s that you see pretty much all the time, and then supercharged cards, which I think are a net negative for Battle Royale. We don't need more offensive firepower. It's already hard to get outs in that. It made BR feel more like events than BR. BR used to be in the glory days because of different teams, lower overall cards shined. Now it's a 99, a supercharged, another diamond, and then a bunch of programs cards that are just the same ones. And it's like, it's losing a little bit of its identity. So how about I fix this? I know some people really like the BR program rounds. I think programs for ranked in BR have been a massive net negative for the game overall, personally. So I would, first of all, I'd make the rewards sellable. I don't know why they weren't. That ranked rewards should be non-sellable, not BR. They flipped that. They made a mistake there. I would get rid of supercharge in BR. I think it has no place in it. And I think I would try and, I don't know if I want to get rid of programs. Maybe only have 1 or 2 of the rounds, but maybe no diamond round. But just get back to more of a draft style. Make it 12-0 again. Get rid of the 10-0 stuff because it just ruined it. And let the cards be sellable. Some people don't want to play BR, bro. You know what I mean? But and if I don't want to play BR, that's on me. But let me shell out the mill for it. Or let me shell out, like, I guess not a mill, but because it's not that expensive. But let me spend the money on it. But these cards aren't worth what their prices are. Last BR cards, Marischal was like 600K. Like, that's not, he's not that good. It's just because of rarity. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I would do that to BR. Not my forte, but that's the changes I would make. And obviously adjust the gameplay loop. 1, stamina needs to be looked at, and PCI sizes are too big. You can't get outs. Every single BR program has a mission for strikeouts. It never gets achieved. You don't strike out anybody in BR. You could be the most dog-ass player, and you're not going to strike out more than a couple times a game, maybe. So it's not... I would look at that. Events, I think you leave it, but only if you add Gauntlet. 6 innings, Hall of Fame, rotating things by week, and it's more competitive. If you add that, and events could say something which has essentially become a casual place to grind missions for those who just want to play All-Star, God Squad games, which is kind of what it is. The event themes really aren't that tight anymore, and that's fine, whatever. I think it's nice as a resource for people who just start out the game, who want to get used to online play, to try out the cards that they earned. That's only, though, only if you add Gauntlet. If you don't, then you have to get this back to being more of a team builder, overall requirements event, where it's not just God Squads, where you actually have to build a team. That was the whole exciting part about it. Right now the rewards aren't that great, so there's no, people just quit freely, so no one really cares. The games aren't super intense. It's just sort of like very lax, and it's fine, but I think we're dying for something on Hall of Fame in 6 innings. It'd be a nice way to have that, you know? It'd be a nice way to have that. Now, onto programs real quick before we get to offline modes. Programs. Talked about this today. A couple things have to change in my mind. You either have to stop dropping content at 3 p.m. Eastern and bump it up to 1 p.m. Eastern, or you can continue to drop at 3 p.m. Eastern, but the barrier to entry for the content isn't so lengthy. What I mean is the content in this game is basically getting the cards and using them. Now, the getting the cards hasn't been fun in a pretty long time. It's just been missions. I like moments a lot. drastically reduce it by either cutting missions out entirely and just have moments, or drop the content earlier. Because as an East Coaster at 3 p.m., assuming it drops on time, I have to spend 2 to 3 hours grinding homework to get the cards to then finally use them. Like, what am I skipping dinner for this? This isn't that dope. And why does that matter? Because people have other games right now where they don't have to spend a 2 to 3 hour pre-grind period to get the content, to play it, to enjoy it. Fortnite, Overwatch, Apex, Call of Duty, you just hop on and play. You don't have to be locked out of it for a while. If the way to get the cards was much more fun, absolutely. I liked Extreme because I didn't really care too much about the cards except for DeGrom, and obviously Acuna's great. But the way to, like, the challenge was fun for me, right? But these playoff programs have missed the mark for me because you could tell they just throw in these lengthy missions to drive up runtime. Now, pivoting off of this and sort of piggybacking, what would be a nice idea for me to have? Like, I would think that you need to add something if you're going to keep dropping content late or have these programs that are just stretched out runtime, where when you defeat a boss, like a pitcher, or strike out a hitter, you earn that card right then and there, similar like in a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. If you beat someone, you get their cards, or like an Elden Ring, you beat the boss, you get their weapons, you know? That would be really cool. A nice animation plays, you defeated the pitcher, the hitter, and you get that card. Boom. It's so lazy to the point where if you finish a program, sometimes it doesn't even pop up at the end of the game that you got them. You go back in and check, and it's like, oh, I finished it. You can tell that because it's not a lot of care put into that the animations aren't there for it, that it's not really about the journey along the way. It's really just a means to an end. And I think that would be a nice way to go. But personally, I think that a lot of games, even if they're West Coast companies, drop at 1 p.m. Eastern, even earlier. There's no reason we gotta wait till the afternoon for that, especially when it's not immediately redeemable. Overwatch drops their content at 1 p.m. and you can hop right in and enjoy it immediately. It doesn't make sense. It's very outdated. If you guys don't want to wake up a little earlier and work on the content, then maybe get it ready the day before. We don't know how things work. Not our fault. We don't have a lot of communication on that end, but I'm just saying 3 p.m. is far too late. It's the only game I know that drops content that late in the day consistently. They used to do ranked at 6 p.m. Thank God, Eastern time. Thank God they pushed that back to 3 or up to 3, which is super cool. But yeah, as far as programs go, I think, you know, either make it, I think you could make it like that. I was going to say a story mode would be a new mode to have, but I think you could utilize that feature where you grind and earn the card. And you just see it, you beat the boss and get them, maybe in missions and programs instead as a way to do that. Have a big boss, and that's the way that works. Now, pivoting on to Conquest. How can we make that more exciting? Whew, that's going to be a tough one. I think that you have to allow us to mass sim spaces at once. So for me, I can only speak personally. When I see something like this, I don't want to do it because it's so much simming. It's just tedium. It's there to delay you. It doesn't have any thrill. It's not very exciting. And it's not like one of those things where it's kind of ASMR where you click through them and it feels good, so it's fine. No. It's not like a hack and slash where, yeah, you have a horde mode, but you're fighting through boss waves, and where, you know, even though it's a lot and it's technically just driving up runtime, it's fun to do. Conquest is not fun to sim, in my opinion. So what would I do? Allow you to risk it, because it's based off risk, to sim multiple spaces at once in a faster manner, and if you went too far, and that's your risk. You risk reward, whatever. As far as that goes, I would say that maybe make it a little bit more exciting to beat a stronghold. It doesn't feel very immediately rewarding. So I would maybe go there. I would say that. Showdown, I wouldn't touch. I actually really like Showdown. I'm a little bit biased. Mini seasons, whew, start there. That was supposed to be a new offline mode that a lot of people considered to be, or expected it to be, a counterpart to ranked seasons for the offline player. It's a lazily implemented mode that shows the glitches on the lineup screen all the time. The parks are cool, but a lot of them play like poo-poo. It doesn't feel like a season mode. I don't get that feeling that I'm playing through a season and winning a championship. And on top of all that, the biggest failure of that mode is forced non-skippable cutscenes. It absolutely feels like garbage to play. I understand someone worked on those graphics. I understand you want people to see it. And I also understand that probably if you get rid of those, it becomes a better Conquest. That's not our fault. That's Conquest's fault to figure out. You have to let players play the way they want to play, especially because in every single other offline mode, you could skip in between pitches. You don't get forced replays. You can actually streamline the game experience. It feels like when you're playing mini seasons, someone's pulling on the hood of your sweatshirt the whole time. Get back here, get back here, get back here. And it doesn't feel good to play. If you play tested that blindly, you would say this feels off. 110%. We have to kill our darlings and shed the egos here and get rid of the forced cutscenes if you want the mode to succeed. How do I know it's a failure? You have to forcibly put it into programs as a way to streamline programs to get people to play it. Rewards, there are none in that mode because because here's the problem. They want to put more rewards in that mode to get people to play it, but they know that they're going to get a shit ton of blowback if they put any rewards in mini seasons because nobody wants to play it. They'll say, are you kidding me? Why'd you lock this card? I've seen it before in the games when they've tried to do it the last couple of years. They say, why do this? We don't play this mode. We don't want to. Don't force us to, right? That's how I can kind of prove to you guys that it's underplayed. So that's something that has to be done if they want people to play it. Otherwise, the mode's just going to be completely dead like custom leagues. So that's something I would adjust there. I pretty much covered most, if not all. Another feature needs to be added. It's way overdue. We don't care about anchor anymore. We don't care about defensive practice. That was a waste. Diamond Dynasty custom practice, batting practice. Let us hit and warm up with our teams. It's already in the game. As far as I'm aware, there's no excuse. The only thing I can think of from a cynical perspective is that they don't want you to try cards out there. They want you to play with them in game. I don't know. There's custom practice in every game, right? Why is it not in DD? It's so overdue. At this point, I just imagine they don't feel like wasting time on it, or they just too lazy to implement it. If there's not enough storage space for that, I don't really know what to say about that, to be honest. That's a little bit crazy to me. But yeah, so new modes, ultimately wrapping this all up. 6 innings, gauntlet, rotating themes, all-time teams, short kings, tall kings, overall requirement, 90s players, like stuff like that. And it would be actually fun because that, by proxy, gives you gives a true purpose to grinding for lower overall cards. That's how you build attachments to certain players' niche cards, right? That we've done in years past that we haven't had in the last couple of years, right? All of a sudden, a 94 overall Kyle Farmer becomes a fan favorite, a channel favorite, a personal favorite of yours because that guy carried you in this currently competitive event to earn rewards. Outside of all of this, content-wise, definitely need to get new legends. They're running real thin. And this one's going to rub people the wrong way, but it has to be done in my mind. And I think they even kind of know this because they did it in 22. You have to get rid of Team Affinity. And if you're going to have it only twice a year. All-Star and Finest. 30 pre-planned cards for a live service game. It's antithetical to the whole philosophy of the game. It's completely counterintuitive. You want to have live content, which centers around what? People who do crazy things, playoffs, moments, programs, stuff like that. Monthly awards. But you're wasting 60 players. Just say if you do Finest and TA, All-Star week stuff, 60 cards for those pre-planned drops. It locks them up. They still need more legends, but having to pre-plan 30 cards and also worry about, well, is this guy going to be an All-Star? Is he going to be a Finest? Who's going to be the monthly awards? We're seeing this cannibalized so much right now, right? Well, he's not going to get 99 because he just got an TA card. That's the problem. And here's why I'll tell you, I think it's a win. It's a lose-lose for them no matter what, for SDS. They give us 30 really good cards. It makes the rest of ranked, BR, and events pointless. This is their words. They said that they made TA and all the collections too good last year. It took away all purpose of ranked and BR. You make it bad, there's no point in doing it, and now you just wasted legends or current players' names in this current drop, therefore postponing when they could be released to get a better version later on in the year. You see what I'm saying? Well, TA used to be good in 21. No, it wasn't. There were a couple good cards, and the most of them were complete ass. DeGrom in 21. The rest of them were bunts. He was the only one. And the reason why he was God was because he was literally God in the first half of 21. Mickey Mantle. Yeah, there was a 97 David Price in the same division. The Trey Turner and the Cedric Mullins. Yeah, they were hidden gems. But the rest of them were buns. They were literally buns. Like, that's how it works. It's always going to be that way. We don't need to do that. If you free up TA, if you get rid of TA and you free up space, you're able to do more themed programs. Sort of like, you know, I guess this doesn't really count because it's minor league players, but career tributes and stuff like that. Personal programs for Mike Schmidt, Clemente Day programs where you can add more cards to it. You know, Valentine's Day cards if they pop off on, not Valentine's, Mother's Day cards if they pop off on Mother's Day. But, you know, you don't have to worry about, did they just get a card for TA? That's the thing. And on top of that, if you make TA too quick to finish, everyone goes, well, why did it take so, it was so quick, now we have nothing to do. If it's too long, I don't want to spend 10 hours doing TA. It's a lose-lose for them entirely. I just scrap it. Go back to inning bosses, give you 5 of them, have 5 of them, give you 3 for free, and have the other 2 purchasable for you that you didn't take as a carrot to chase to incentivize you to keep playing the game at your pace. Now, those are overall my ideas on MLB The Show 25, things that I think would make it a much more enjoyable experience. Obviously, things like ironing out server side issues and problems would be nice. I think that's another reason why people are scared of Legend, because most people play on shit connections. They don't really realize how things work. Or they match up with someone from 5,000 miles away, and I'm not hitting against someone who's in Paraguay on Legend. It ain't happening. It's too hard, this game. Stuff like that. But I think from gameplay and content perspective, I think be wary of the sets and seasons boogeyman. It is a problem. It's a big one. I don't think it's the main issue. I think if we have the exact same game as this year, but with a traditional power creep, it's going to die even earlier than this year if the gameplay doesn't have a different sort of way to interact with it. No interface change, no new mode. That's the most important thing to the game. If it's still acquire card, hop into ranked to play for what, that's going to be a bit of a problem. That loop's going to get very redundant. It's going to be very boring. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. It's a little different of a style, but I want to get these ideas out here just so you kind of know where I'm at, see what you guys think. I love hearing your thoughts, and you know, discussing game theory, which you know, of course, I like to do. So, and business theory and stuff like that. So, yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon. Okay, peace.